In this recording, we're looking at assessment with Google Forms. To access Google Forms, you do need to have a Google account and be signed in. And then once you've done that, we need to go to the Drive button on the top bar. If you can't see Drive in the top of yours, you might just need to use the More drop-down box. So we're going to Google Drive, and this is where all the Google documents are held. So you've got a whole variety of Google Docs you can make, from Word documents, presentations, spreadsheets, drawings, but the one we're going to use are forms. And we can create an assessment. So let's begin by going we've got history, assessment, and we can choose a template. There's a whole variety there to choose from. Go for magazine, we go OK. And then we're ready to start creating our questions. And so we can put in what year was born. And we can also add help text if we want to. And then we've got a whole range of questions we can choose from. We can go text, which is just like a short answer, paragraph for a longer answer, multiple choice, tick the box, choose from a list. Then there's scales, grids, as well as date and time. So in this one we're going to go multiple choice, we'll go 1904, 1914, oops, I'll get rid of the option writing, 1914, 1908, 1918. Okay, and you can keep adding options. You can also decide whether it's a required question or not. A required question means the student has to answer it. We tick that box and go done. Our first question is there ready to go. If we've made a mistake, I can go in and edit. The other useful button up here is that I can duplicate. So I can actually make a question so it looks almost exactly the same and maybe change one part of the question. And done. And we can keep going and adding a whole variety of questions in as we go. So add item. This time we might put a text box in. And I think what we might need to do is actually go back to the beginning and put in what is your name, because we will need a student name to find out who the test belongs to. For some classes that's enough. For where you've got a difficult class and the kids might just decide to put in Fluffy Bunny 42 instead of their name, you might actually hand them out a unique test code and say this is the test code you need to use to take this test, and you'd actually record the little test code, just a series of letters and numbers against that student's name, so you can tell who has and who hasn't taken the test. We can go done there, so we've got our name in there as well. I want that right up the top, so I'm just picking it up, dragging it up to the top and letting go. And you would just keep adding questions into your assessment until you are finished. At the very end there is a confirmation page with a message your response has been recorded. You can change this message if you like. Your answers have been recorded. You can allow a link to allow them to take the test again. This is useful when you have shared devices and more than one student needs to take the test, but I'm going to uncheck that. You can also show a link to the results if you want to, or allow them to change their responses after submitting. I'm going to leave all of those separate at the moment. Then when I'm finished, I click Send Form. And what I get is a link to be able to share. So I can copy that link and put it into Edmodo or use a QR code. I can even go and get the embed code if I want to paste the test into a website or a blog that we have. So we've got the link, we're ready to share. If I'm sharing a class with another teacher, I can actually invite another teacher in as a collaborator so they can edit this test as well. When I'm finished, I'm going to click Done. And our test is all ready to go. We can go and have a look at the live form to see what it looks like. There it is there, with all the information, marks in what's required. And let's go back The other thing that we want to do is choose the response destination. Now, do we want this to go to a new spreadsheet where we'll get all the information with the questions across the top and the names of the responses down the side? Or do we want to add it to an existing spreadsheet? So you might want to make a new, you might have one spreadsheet for a class, but have a new sheet in each spreadsheet for each assessment. So lots of opportunities. So that's Google Forms. Once all the data is in, you can actually go and have a look, as well as looking at the spreadsheet, you can actually get the summary of responses as well. This is useful as a quick snapshot of how the whole class went. And so you'll go in and see, here's the responses for each question, and it will give you the data. It'll also in number form and also visually in a graph. So that's Google Forms. Lots of possibilities, lots of opportunities for assessing student learning, whether it's at the beginning of a unit to find out what they know and what they don't yet know, or at the end of a unit where you want to find out what learning's been achieved.